Last time, on Asmiliath adventures, the large caravan of the Golden Hearts crests the hill that allows them a full view of the massive city of Ukin. Looking over the many layers of the city, our heroes decide that passing through quickly was the right decision, as they're still unaware of Novin's progress or potential plans that are in place. Entering the lower walls briefly, Decker receives a message from his mother that informs him that his father is away on business, currently stationed in a small town of Black Hollow, only a couple days northwest of the city. Foregoing a reunion with his mother, Decker directs the Golden Hearts back onto the road and towards his father, in hopes of acquiring his aid and knowledge for the journey ahead. Arriving in the small town on the edge of the swamp, our party find themselves meeting the patriarch of the Caspian family, a tall and slender man that takes his position as an alderman, as serious as his various business ventures. Informing him of the impending doom that awaits Asmiliath, he promises to begin turning the gears of the Republic with his influence before having a heart-to-heart with his adventurous son. Giving his child a mixture of warnings and encouragement, he points Decker in the direction of Ganon Toller, a local explorer that has been seeking help for some time. Upon our party discovering the adventurer, they learn that he is hunting a hydra deep in the swamps, and requires help in bringing the mystical beast down. Offering up that they were seeking Ziggurat of the Night, Ganon softly agrees to guide them into the deep in exchange for helping him with the hydra. Before either side can commit to an understanding, Ganon is sent inside to acquire drinks. It is the evening of the 23rd of January, as our heroes gather around a table in the Black Pit Tavern with their new guide. Having ordered the drinks that had been requested, Ganon doesn't partake as he leans back in his chair and eyes each member of the party slowly. So moving from one party member to the next, looking you all over with a very inquisitive gaze, trying to get a general understanding of who each of you are, he would eventually end his gaze on Decker being one of the more, back and forth people that he talked to before. What do you think is going on here? We're going to come to an agreement, or what?
I mean, of course we're going to come to agreement. We'll agree about something.
Sounds like you're all chasing a fairy tale, a Ziggurat of the Night.
We're led to believe that what we seek is in the swamp, and it happens to be guarded by what we believe to be a dragon. If you put two and two together, there might be something to those old tales.
Well, if there's a dragon in the swamp, then I'd be the one to find him, that's for sure.
I was directed to you by my father, whom generally I trust. However, what assurances do we have that you won't betray us in the middle of the swamp?
I think the first thing is I'm very outnumbered if I was going to try and jump you all in the muck of the swamp. Though I do know it a bit more, might help me with a bit of advantage, but I think that you're rather secure that I'm going to go about my business, you're going to go about your business, and we're going to both leave that wretched place in one piece. Hopefully.
I tend to agree with you, but you might need to do a bit more to persuade my companions. They're not as trusted as I am.
He would look over at all of you again, kind of hold his arms out wide. I'm an open book. Let's have at it.
Well, terms of the agreement would probably be the main thing. We help you find, kill your Hydra. Then you help us search out and find the Ziggurat of the Night.
Simple enough, yeah.
How long have you been looking for help with this Hydra?
Been about 2 months, 3 months, somewhere in that range.
3 months and you haven't found any takers.
Black Hollow isn't exactly a happening place.
We showed up here, and within the same day we found help in our quest.
Consider yourself lucky then. Maybe a bit blessed.
And what do you know of hydras in general? I'm not very familiar with them myself.
I'm probably the expert of all the hydras. Or, I guess, the only expert on hydras. I've been tracking this thing down for probably longer than you've been, as tall as you are.
Okay, so what are they? I've never even seen one.
Oh, they're a big fat lizard. Got, well, multitudes of head, depending on how many heads have been lobbed off, but the one that I think that I'm hunting probably has around 6 or 7. It's been a few scrapes and scruffles with various people that I've tracked down, but big lizard, lots of head, lots of teeth. It's very difficult to sneak up on it because it has lots of heads. They can look all around you, unlike you and I. Besides that, the quick bolt into the weak spots, maybe some fire to keep the heads from growing back. Pretty simple endeavor, just need a bit more help than my expertise can allow.
Are you prepared? Have you actually prepared for this? Do you have all your equipment necessary to get this done?
Fat boy, do you think that I've been sitting here for 3 months, asking for help, bothering everyone that walks by, just so you can sit down here and be like, oh, are you prepared? Yes, I'm prepared. I'm Ganon Toller.
Well, I mean, that's great and everything, but we've only heard of you as of today.
Well, it's a tragedy.
Okay.
Valerie, doing an insight check?
That's right. I'm
There's specific
observing him intently, his mannerisms, his ombre.
I mean, he's rather blatantly a bit bombastic, showy, abrasive, somewhere in those general descriptive terms. As far as the kind of deeper, I guess, feeling you might get, or I don't know, reaction you might feel listening to him speak, there is like the slightest bit of not, what's the word I'm looking for, like fear or uneasiness, but just kind of like a brittleness to just how, I guess, forward he is, maybe, right? Like, you don't know this guy all that well, and he's just very upfront about everything, kind of like talking to you all as if it, you know, you were great friends from back in the day. So there's nothing inherently, I guess, underhanded or worrying about the general vibe you get from him, but he's not exactly, I don't know, the easiest person to get along with. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, I reckon.
Okay.
All right, look, I understand all of that, but, like, do you have something to blind it? Because if it's going to be staring at me with, 6 sets of eyes, it'd be nice if I could have something to just blind it.
Why don't we go over the plan of taking down this Hydra versus you trying to come up with this brilliant scheme that I'm sure that you have thought through thoroughly. Alright, simple enough. Hydras. In the center of where all their necks meet, right above the chest line. The collarbone, I guess you could call it. I don't know the anatomy of this damn thing. I haven't killed it yet. There's a weak spot where all the necks meet. And it's weak and penetrable. Is that a word? Penetrable by an onyx ballista bolt. Which I got. And I got a little hand-carrying ballista that we're going to set up from a distance. We're going to place the cow in the water where I think the nest is. It's going to try and eat the cow, get distracted. And then you lovely gentlemen are going to pull its attention different ways so that Ganon Toller the Extraordinaire can shoot it right in the weak spot and the day's done.
Would I have, in my studies, would I have found out anything magical about hydras, or?
You want to give me a general history check about, like, the marsh, potentially?
Sure.
Okay.
Just a history check?
Yep. Alright. So, Decker, you are familiar that the swamp is broken up into 2 distinct, areas, more or less. There's kind of the fringe where all of these swamp people and like coffee growing and transportation and, functioning inside the swamp happens. Then there's also the deep, which covers maybe about 30 or 40% of the center of the swamp. And it's not super distinct where it starts and where it finishes, but there is a noticeable difference between like the depth of the water, the wildlife, the threat or the danger of the different places. The reason that the swamp people, that are known as the Kolmak, by the way, which roughly translates into damp people in common, for those of you who want to know. But in the deep, it is incredibly treacherous. Everything's kind of out to kill you. It's kind of understood by the swamp people that it's designed not to go into for a reason. That's where, Ziggurat of the Night is from. That's where the center of the swamp is. There's no need to mess with it. We gotta respect Mother Nature, that kind of general vibe. So, being led into the deep, potentially after killing the Hydra, would be dangerous, and there's a reason that no one else goes in there. The other tidbit that you would know, just being a Liamus resident, I guess, it is unexplained, but it's one of those things that, everyone kind of hand waves off as like, oh, Asmiliath is just a strange place. From the center of the swamp, bits of like onyx shards drift into the fringe bits, and that's where a lot of the swamp people's like tools and weaponry and I guess structure come from. They craft these onyx bits of rock into like spears and arrows and knives and axes, things of that nature. And it's like a very specific type of stone that comes from the center of the swamp that no one has really been able to explain thus far. As far as Hydras, basically everything that Ganon has gone over lines up with your general understanding. It's tending to understand that these things are real, but there is like a small amount of like, they might not be real. A bit more believable than dragons, but not so far off that people just kind of write them off as mystical beings. So that's the, I guess, general idea of what you're asking about.
Okay.
And can I get a ping on the map as to where the deep is in theory located?
Let's do a quick little. I'll draw out roughly like where it is.
Around there.
So it'd probably be something like that. That's like the deep area, if you can see that on the map.
Okay.
And what about like the people that live there normally? Are they? I imagine they're not, the nicest people on the planet.
Not exactly the easiest things to get along with. I mean, easiest people. My apologies. They're not a big fan of outsiders, but thankfully, you'd have Ganon Tolo on your side. I know everything about them. I've lived with them. I've slept with them, if you know what I mean. I've eaten with them, and I am best chums, best pals. So, whatever friction you may have faced, slide right along with Ganon Tolo.
Can I see if I believe that?
Go for it, sir. I don't know why you guys distrust this man so much. It's clear that he's being a bit bombastic about it, a bit kind of braggadocious about it, but he's not lying as far as he's aware.
Okay. And are there like, do they set like traps and stuff that we have to watch out for? Because, like people where I'm from, they set like traps where we all know where they are, but not everybody who travels the mountain.
Okay, let me give me a quick understanding. I don't know why I'm Southern now. We'll move past that. In the swamp, permanent structures don't really last. So the Kolmak, they float around on these little dinghies, these little raft almost kind of things that they can move around. So traps don't exactly work out in the swamp.
Okay. Well,
Wait.
That's good at least.
Does that mean we're going to be on boats?
Thankfully, Fat Boy, I imagine that you can float very well.
Yeah, well, I don't want to float in fetid water.
We should probably go over the how you go through the swamp. I hope that it's pretty clear that we're not bringing in any of your big beasties.
Yep, understood.
We're also not going to be wearing any shoes.
I have no issue with that.
Excuse me. My boots stay on my feet.
You won't have your feet much longer if you keep your boots on in the swamp. You get water in there, they get all wet and soggy, moisture can't escape, and your feet rot into oblivion.
One moment. Excuse me. Mayor, would you demonstrate? I would just pour some ale on my boot. It's quite wet now.
Yeah. It's perfectly good. Why would you do that to your boot?
A, because I can buy more beer, and B, because you can fucking prestidigitate it dry. Now, would you demonstrate?
I can try, because to be clear, it does not state that I can try it out.
Do you
would that
want
be like an
to
Arcana thing?
You want to give me the description of prestidigitation, sir?
I definitely will,
Okay.
because
I thought you could dry it out.
well, I can clean it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to me, I'm thinking like even if you were to shop or not shop vac, wet clean carpet, with the machines, like it's still kind of damp. It's
So
not
what
really-
I've taken this as, because I read through this before this episode for this specific reason, you would clean the water that's in the item, but you can't remove the water as far as the spell description goes. So you could clean the swamp water, but it would still be wet.
So yeah, Jarek will throw out some prestidigitation into the boot, and I guess everything.
Ale would turn
Kinda-
into water, I guess, or I guess would turn into sterile ale, even though it probably already is. So
It
Ganon
would
would just
push some out, I guess, right? It would push some out, but it's still like
yeah.
a
You
damp
can
wet.
take the swamp out of the water, but you can't take the water out of the swamp.
So Ganon would
Jared.
look down at the boot, look back up at Decker. Night trick.
Right,
Yeah,
there's-
that's
Yes, there's times in life where you are wrong, you are humbled. This is one of them. I'm going to shut up now.
I mean, if you want, I can try to like
No,
light it on fire. I can warm it up. It'll be
Never
soggy
mind.
and warm.
Really quite useless now. This
So why is all I said? No boots, no shoes, no socks, no sandals.
Okay, just to be clear, we don't wear the boots because our feet will get wet. So we're not going to wear boots, and our feet are just going to go directly in the water.
At night time, we sit upright and we let the humidity disperse off of our bare feet.
Fucking phenomenal. Okay.
It isn't all right. It isn't strictly. It's not my bag, but I'm interested in a survival check to try to determine whether I agree with his assessment.
Okay.
Expected.
Yeah. Being a lord of folk who doesn't
I have no
traverse
idea.
the swamp, yeah.
I guess would I have knowledge in this? I travel quite a lot.
You haven't traveled through the swamp, though.
I could have.
The closest we would have is if we had to like traverse a river, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
water is water no matter where you are.
We'll just kind of like look around at all of you as you're all like looking him over. We can argue about feet in moisture, or we can keep moving.
Sure, alright. How does the plan continue?
No horses, no big beasties, no carts, no shoes, no socks, no sandals. You get the gist. And you do everything I say, because I know what I'm doing and you don't.
Alright, Mr. Taller, we help you kill the Hydra. You get first choice of whatever spoils there may be,
I know the head, I need the tongues.
and then you lead us to the most likely location of Ziggurat. And we get first choice of whatever spoils there may be at that time.
Seems reasonable to me, yeah.
Does anyone have any objection to this?
I think that if he gets any pick of spoils, there should be some assistance should we need to fight the thing. After all,
we'll be fighting for our lives. So I think that's a given, don't you, Mr. Taller?
If we're gonna be fighting Ziggurat of the Night, I'm gonna be hiding my ass down in the swamp.
And when we amend it so that you just don't get anything out of that because you didn't contribute?
Let's go off the assumption that I don't think you're gonna find shit, but I'll lead you there. So whatever you find, you can have.
Very well then.
Sweet.
Anything else, gentlemen?
if y'all want, I can write that up. We can sign it.
I mean, I guess if you really feel the need, you can write it while we're on the way.
I think that we can forego such formalities. We have an understanding, right, Mr. Toller?
Of course, simple handshake should do.
Valoran holds out his hand.
Just give you a quick grasp, firm handshake.
Can I remember exactly what my father said about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, since that was relatively recently, I'll just go ahead and tell you. He said that he was causing a ruckus, being a bit of a disturbance. That was the general knowledge that he gave you.
Okay, but nothing complimentary on him.
I think when he mentioned him, he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the perfect guy for you," and then recommended him to you. But he didn't like go on about his like bravery and all that kind of shit.
Let us depart today, if you're ready.
You might want to have a last night to, feed the fat boy and sleep in a nice bed and prepare for a bit of an arduous journey.
If you insist.
It's late evening. You don't want to go diving into the swamp in the evening.
I guess that's true. Rather get an early start.
Dawn, then.
Righto.
Is there anything you need to know from us?
Are there any members of, or anybody who lives in the swamp? I can't.
The
remember.
Colmac.
The Colmac in this village.
Yes, there's a lot that, come in and trade the, collection of the coffee harvest and whatnot. So there'd be a handful that kind of function in and out of the city. There's also, like, the other, I guess, town. The other half of this town that's more, like, in the swamp would have that population a bit more as well.
All right. Yeah, just sometime during the afternoon, I'd like to go back to my family's offices and find any of the Colmac that are associated with our business.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk to them about venturing into the swamp.
Okay. But, yeah, Ganon at this point would kind of depart or wait around and just kind of, like, prepare for tomorrow if the party want to do anything else before you leave. Or
So I
ask him
guess
any
he-
more questions.
So he doesn't have any questions for us at all.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. I guess I'll thank the bartender. Ask them their name.
It's Boar.
Boar.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Large half-orc gentleman.
Okay.
I think Jarek would inquire around about some type of flashbang. Something that'll blind. I don't know. Flash grenade. I don't think grenades exist, but
I don't think they have a thriving alchemist shop in Black Hollow.
okay. All right, Pocket Sun, you're gonna have to beat it. All right.
But, so Decker, do you want to do a general, I guess investigation would be the...
I want to talk to them about how they navigate through the swamp with what kind of shoes they wear, how they treat their shoes, because it's not like it's just water and marshmallows. I mean, you don't just walk around barefoot.
So, you
There's
might
like
notice this just, like, approaching them or, like, kind of watching them pass by. Everything beneath their knee, their skin is, like, a darker, blacker color. And it's clear that there's a lot of, like, muck and stain and grime kind of built up. And if you ever asked one to, like, lift his feet up, you would notice that the bottom is, like, firmly calloused and almost, like, cracked and broken, like, all over the place, that you could assume that the feeling in their feet is not 100%.
Freaking hobbits. Okay, got it.
But
All right.
if you
yeah,
ask more general questions about, like,
yeah, I would want to pick up any tips that they might have, for swamp survival.
Okay.
Anything we might want to know.
Things you would pick up on pretty easily is the ones that you do talk to. It's clear that their common is really rough, that it's not their first language, it's not the language they commonly speak, believe it or not. So that's just one little tidbit you get. Even though they're the ones that function in the societies outside of the swamp, it's still pretty difficult for them to convey information with a lot of depth or detail. But they'll mention something to you. You're unfamiliar with the word, but the way they translate it is bug flower is very important. So
But flower.
bug flower, as in the insect.
Gotcha. Bug flower.
Yes, that was something rather important they pointed out. And then to, not go into the deep is something they stressed rather, I guess, strongly.
So bug flower, what is this stuff? Can I discern that?
If you poke a bit more, it's a flower that they burn, or I guess smolder is the right term, and the smoke the flower gives off repels a lot of the venomous and dangerous insects of the swamp.
Alright, so do they have any, can I source any of that?
Probably, yeah. You might have to, like, dig around, see if there's a shop or a person that has, like, an abundance of it, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would look for enough for 5 people for
Okay.
extended amount of time.
Okay. We'll go with 10 silver pieces to get like a handful of them.
Okay, I think I can do that. And that's enough for all of us.
Well, you guys haven't really asked how far you're going, so it's
I would have for about a week.
okay. Yeah, it probably lasts about 5 days. That handful.
Then I will get 2 handfuls.
Okay.
So 20 silver.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
I'm gonna
Anyone else
poke
have
around the
anything?
ghettos.
The
I'm sorry,
ghettos?
the
Thank
swamp
you.
people's
This is
area.
racially charged. How dare you?
With the detect magic telescope, see if anything maybe is lost in the mud, because we're in a swamp area, and this
Okay.
just seems like it's gonna end up in doom. So Jericho's like, what the hell? Maybe there's something good hidden.
Give me investigation with disadvantage.
Sounds
Like
about
an
right.
old man with a metal detector.
Yeah, he's like the fat guy on the beach with the metal detector. sunburnt to oblivion.
Does that come through?
I've not seen it yet, sir.
Stupid thing. It is a 6.
Okay. Are you leaving it a 6?
I mean, I don't feel like it's gonna matter. Yeah, what the heck? It's the end of the day. Yeah, I'll burn
Yeah,
it. Let me
that's
die.
Okay.
Did that come through?
Yep, with a
Yeah.
19.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine.
So, taking the afternoon as the rest of your companions attempt to find something useful to do, and you find your own useful thing to do. After about 40 to 50 minutes, you would find a very small ruby hidden amongst the muck that is probably about the size of the end of your thumb that glows with a bit of magical energy.
That's phenomenal. Okay. And then the rest of the afternoon or evening, I'll study it.
Okay. Valorant and Thor, are you doing anything in particular for the evening?
Gonna go to the caravan and let them know what we're doing. Tell Blanc and Lavelle to be ready to head into the swamp, and ask one of the caravan guards to accompany them. And the three of them my instructions to the three of them are not to participate in our fighting that we may do. Their job is to stay alive. And the caravan guard is to keep an eye on Blanc and Lavelle.
Okay.
And Blanc, since we're in the swamp, is looking for interesting and rare plants.
She would be ecstatic at the mention of going into the swamp.
And we may have questions for her if we come across things. If we're about to be eaten by a giant Venus flytrap, she should probably yell out some warning.
Or not, depending on what it produces afterwards.
And Lavelle, I'm going to make sure, has 2 diamonds for Revivify, and I have the remainder on my person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple enough.
That's it for me.
Thor?
Are there just like any shops in town?
The majority of the shops in this town are the taverns and inns, because it's a lot more of a travel stop than like a destination. There would be like a general goods store, but it sells feed and tackle and horseshoes and things of that nature. So
Okay, so there's not like if I were to ask, I guess our guide about what we might, because he said all the things we didn't need, but he didn't say anything about the things we did need. So is there anything that he might have mentioned that we need that we don't have?
I mean, if you ask about it or if you allude to it, he would say that he has everything that you all need to go in prepared.
Okay. Gotcha. Then, I guess I'll just chill by the wagon and see if they have any new potions or anything a brewing.
Okay. Just to mention that I don't think I mentioned before, Ganon did not partake in any of the drinks, but you did see him drink a particular vial that was on his chest while you guys were talking. So, whatever that's worth.
Would have probably asked him about that.
Okay. Do you want to go through that? I'll give you the summary then. If you ask about it, he explains that the only thing that he drinks is pure water and cowfish poison. And he has been slowly acclimating himself to cowfish poison for the better part of 10 years now, which helps him be immune to a variety of poisons. So, that's what he's drinking, is a vial of cowfish poison. So, alright. But if there's nothing else, then we can pick up in the dawn.
Just for the record, I'm going to bring a rope and I fetch a grappling hook off the wagon.
Okay. Yeah, it might
bring-
be worthwhile for all of you to do a general check of what you're carrying. Make sure you're not, like, weighed down with cannonballs and, boulders and things of that nature. Just to, understand what you have on you versus what might be in the wagon. But, yeah, besides equipment checks, which I guess is rather important to go over if that's what everyone needs to do right now, Ganon would, I guess, explain to you all to meet him at the edge of the docks in the dawn, and he would just go from there with you all, so whenever you guys are ready to pick up there.
I'm ready.
Am I able to figure out what that ruby does?
Not with just looking at it, like, could you
Well, no,
explain
like-
things you'd try?
Okay, yes, definitely. I'll talk to it. I'll put some magical energy into it. I'll drop it in liquids. Taste it just in case. Pray to it. Throw it in some fire.
The only reaction or notable thing you would discern is when you put it to your tongue, it would burn your tongue.
Physically or spicy?
Physically.
But just might. Okay. Alright, cool.
Anything else, sirs, before we pick up at the dock? Alright. So it's the 4 party members, Lavelle, Clara, and a caravan hand, correct?
Yes.
Sweet. So as the small grouping of the Golden Hand / Golden Hearts move to the docks near the marsh or the swamp, you would see Ganon standing at the end of the dock, and there'd be a reasonably sized cow beside him. It's not like a fully grown, massive adult cow, but it's not a young cow either, but medium-sized cow. And also strapped to Ganon's back seems to be long slats of wood that have been like lashed together with some rope. It's, if you give it a bigger or a more detailed glance, you can easily discern it's the ballista that he had mentioned earlier, kind of being his main equipment. You would already notice that his boots have been removed and they're kind of slung over his neck, like tied behind his neck with the shoestrings. But as you all approach, he would look you all over, be like, shoes, boots, get those off, and I guess we'll be ready to go if 2 cows can pick up our bait.
I guess I can try. I'll just go over and see how much it weighs.
It's a noticeable weight for you, but something you can certainly handle. It's probably like 100 pounds or 20 pounds, somewhere in that range.
Oh, okay.
So it's not enormous, but it's enough to be noticeable.
Gotcha.
And it seems rather docile and old, or not old, but I guess beaten. It doesn't like kick or do anything when you pick it up and however you want to carry it, so.
It's just docile.
It's a cow. Yes, Jarek.
120-pound cow.
Yes, Jarek.
Okay.
It's a very, very small cow. Just shut up. Just let it happen.
I am not a biologist or a veteran. I didn't look up cow weight before this. Give me a break.
They're about 1,000 pounds for a regular one.
Well, it's a fantasy condensed mini
We're
cow. It was
looking at
crossbreed with a poodle. I don't fucking know.
It's a teacup cow.
It's a walking hamburger.
Alright, it's 200 pounds. Thank you. I'll take it.
Suddenly it increases in weight.
Anyway, Ganon would look all of you over, make sure you've all removed your boots before proceeding.
I don't even think I have
Yeah.
boots. Or maybe I do, but I would have taken them off and left them in the caravan.
Okay. Well, any of your last goodbyes before we hippity-hoppity into the swampity?
Nope. I'm ready to go.
Alright. It's gonna be 3 days travel. It's gonna be slow going. It's gonna be boring, nasty, gross. It's gonna smell like shit, actual shit. But it should be a good time. Keep up the spirits. We'll have some conversations as we go.
And before we got going, I would produce the bug flowers that I acquired explain what it was for. And
He kind of points at it. He's like, look at you. All prepared.
What the heck is that?
Well, it's a flower that they burn to get rid of all the nasty little shits that want to stab their little noses in you. About a day's into the swamp, we'll start burning them. We'll put everybody one behind each ear, and then we just keep trudging along.
You said 3 days, right?
Right?
Okay. So it's
You
like
got somewhere to be? Got a
week.
hot date?
Well-
Technically.
Yeah.
I'd likely believe 2 cows over you, fat boy.
I'll have you know I am very popular at the Glistening Globes.
I'd lean over to Thor. Thor, I am truly sorry. Had no idea he'd go on with it so long.
It's too late for apologies. Let's just keep walking. Lead on, Ganon.
So Ganon would turn, and the general geography of the swamp. There are bits of dry land that kind of move above the surface of the water, but even the dry land, or where you can roughly stand, the ground is mushy and damp and kind of gives way. It's almost like stepping on a highly saturated sponge. So even if you did try and like wiggle your way along this kind of meandering bit of land, your feet would still get grimy and wet and disgusting. So he just opts to basically swing his feet off of the dock, hop in about ankle deep water, and just begin trudging in a straight line kind of through the swamp. But as he kind of alluded to earlier, and now that you're actually beginning to go into this strange place, you would instantly notice the air is thick and heavy and clings to your skin with like every single step. The wildlife sounds vastly different from anything that you're used to, and it just reeks. It just stinks. Like every single time you step, you seem to like cause this heavy waft of air to kind of like rush up into your nose to the point where you're like lifting your head out of the way or turning it to the side, trying to get yourself just an inch or two away from the putrid smell. But having to continue trudging on, you, I guess, follow your guide through the swamp.
I'm gonna keep an eye out with the telescope.
All right.
Any sources of magic out there, just in case.
Okay. So, Ganon, unless otherwise provoked, would more or less lead you guys for about 6 or 7 hours, starting at around dawn, and then sometime nearing noon or a little bit after, he would eventually kind of stomp past this massive willow tree to his right, stop on some bit of raised land, kind of turning back to you all. We good to go? We're getting a little bit tired. Everybody want a quick snack break, fat boy?
I'm gonna assume you've never heard of us or the things we've done. No, we're fine. We've dealt with worse.
Alright. Well, that was going to be my quick question while we had a little powwow here for a moment. I know that there's probably things you haven't told me, and I guarantee there's things I haven't told you. So let's go ahead and clear the air. I mean, as much as you can in this shit place.
I thought we had all the talking done yesterday.
Your pretty boy, what was your name? Caspian?
As you wish.
For the past 5 years, everyone that I've talked to is crazy batshit bananas. They live in a fucking swamp. They barely speak the language. I'm gonna talk my fucking head off for this entire journey.
It's contagious.
Clever. But I need some good conversation, and if I'm gonna be trusting y'all with my life, I'd like to know a bit about you.
Okay, well, I'll start then. My name is Decker Caspian, which you gratefully have remembered. However, my companions, Thorasius Fireheart, not 2 cows. He prefers Thor. That is not Fat Man.
He's fat boy.
That is, yeah, Fat boy, fat man, that's Jarek. And this is Lord Valorant.
A lord in a swamp.
He is a lord in a swamp. Let's give it a try. What are their names?
Oh, we got Deco Caspian. We got Thor. We got Jarek. And we have Lord of the Swamp.
Lord Valorant in the swamp. But yes, quite good. There.
It's great to know all the names. A meet and greet. Lovely. What are you looking for Ziggurat for? Because it's piqued my interest, you can say.
Fortune and glory.
Don't believe it.
You don't need to believe it.
I choose that I want to believe it.
What
Look,
are you looking
Ganon,
for item for?
Yes, Jarek.
look. We get contracted, you could say, to do a variety of things, much like any group you see of ragtag companionship. I'm not going to ask you why you have half your face chewed off.
Good story. Could tell you.
You know, I'm sure it is. And, 6 months ago, I would have begged every word out of it so I could steal it and sing a song about it. But you know what? We've been through some shit the past month or so. We just want to get our job done. And let me be clear. If we do happen to find something and it is not friendly out there in the deep, that's just one more on a long list of things we've had to deal with. Now, your Hydra sounds pretty scary, I'm not going to lie, but considering what else we've gone up against, it's just another beastie. It might even be clever. It might be a smart beastie, but its dissatisfaction and ire are not going to result in, the countryside burning. That's the type of stuff we get to deal with. So if we can just get this job done on our very long to-do list, I assure you, you will be happier for it in about a year.
You are such a broken man. Good lord.
Yeah, no, it happens.
Alright, let me cut to the chase, because it appears that all of you just want to spiral down in some deep depression hole. I know something that I'm sure you're interested in, and I'm willing to give you that information. Could help strengthen our tight bond that we have so far. But I need to know, for a fact, don't lie to me, I may be antisocial, but I know when I'm being lied to. I want to know why you want Ziggurat of the Night.
Valorant, would you care to enlighten him?
Why exactly is it so important, Mr. Toller?
Don't think it's a surprise that Ziggurat of the Night is a rather important man, or important being, I guess you can say out here. So if someone was to come along and disturb him, if he was real, let's just go off with that assumption. It's in my best interest to know what your goals are.
I don't know how familiar you are with the political situation of our continent. But we are here seeking Ziggurat
Yep.
on direct orders of the King of Giles.
Oh?
More than that, we're not at liberty to share. You'd have to ask King Hunfor.
Unless you happen to know Cone? Is that the Con dragon? I can't
Cone,
remember.
yeah, Khon, yeah.
Yeah, unless you happen to know Cone, then we'll just, that's fine. We can go talk to them. You can introduce us. That'd be plenty.
Alright, keep your secrets. I'm gonna keep mine. I'm just putting it out there that whenever you want to come clean and tell me why you're here, I'm open to a dialogue.
I thought he was quite clear. We were instructed by a king to be rather circumspect.
You didn't tell me why you're here. You told me who sent you.
We told you that the king desired that we not share every detail.
Well, it's good for him.
It is good for him to be a king. They have a lot of power.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there then. I just thought that we had grown very close in all few hours of travel.
Bridge, that would be wonderful. I could put my fucking boots back on.
Oh, there ain't no bridges out here.
Disgusting.
You might want to get very used to the smell of Fat Boy's feet. I mean, Jarek's feet.
Well, here, you know what? Again, this has been a delight. Guys, quick powwow. Like, come here. We gotta deal with this for another 3 days. Well, 2.5 days. What if we just tell him? We'll let him know what we're up to once we get to the deep.
I don't really see what the problem with that is.
It's not going to change anything. I just didn't want to reveal anything that people were not ready to reveal. Myself, I don't care what he knows or doesn't know. Tell him. Make it a good story, for all I care.
All I know is that so far, whenever we have encountered a piece of Tordan, someone or something is there ahead of us. We know almost nothing about Mr. Toller. For once, I would like to be at least neck and neck with the forces of doom and destruction, if not a step ahead.
And translated into common, that means you don't want to tell him anything.
When the strange and the strangers, everywhere we go, have endless questions for us.
I mean, we're interesting people on an interesting mission. This is doubtless one of the most interesting things he's ever encountered. I don't blame him for wanting to know. And if what he says is true, and he's been surrounded by nothing but these people for as long as he has, well, he might just be being companionable. Maybe there's some merit to him liking us and not just feeling like we're using each other.
I feel like we're back in Aether with Hypatia.
I wasn't around, but by all accounts she was pretty.
You were there. We cut her head off.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of her sister. Women all run together. So she certainly was pretty.
Yeah, well then
So
why don't we
that was
just
that.
wait until we're out there, then deal with the whole, who are you, what do you want? Because if he can at least get us out to the general area, we might be able to figure something out for ourselves if we have to part ways. Or worst case scenario, I can try to detect his thoughts while he sleeps and see what happens.
Oh, That might be very entertaining. How about we just strike a deal with him that if after we take care of the Hydra, he's proven himself to be trustworthy and useful, maybe we fill him in on the finer details. Is that agreeable?
What if we like tell him part of it, like, oh, we're looking for this dragon because we heard there was a magic item that we are looking for, and it has the special ability that we were sent for by the king, which isn't technically a lie. So there isn't really, we're not lying. And we can be like, we don't know what it does because, up until we saw the last piece of Torah, then we didn't know what it did. Or we still don't really know what it does.
Like Jack said, in a year, this will be a moot point one way or the other.
I'm just saying, if we want to go with Valorant's idea of not telling him exactly what we're doing here so we don't get almost killed when, we leave with the item, we can just tell him what we're looking for, but we don't know anything about it. We were just sent here by the king.
All right. Well, you lot try and get him in conversation. I'll hang back and see if I can poke around in his head a little bit while y'all are walking and talking.
Don't make our guide unhappy because,
I have a gentle touch with this, okay? I don't enjoy doing it, which is why I usually don't.
I don't know that I believe that.
Why?
So as the group is still powwowing, Ganon has collected a bunch of the bug flowers, I guess is what you guys have to refer to them as, and he's begun taking out a match and lighting the center of each of the flowers, which causes it to kind of burn very slowly from the center and then slowly working its way out to the petals. And after he gets one burning, he kind of waddles up to all of you and, alright, one of you behind the ear, so we can keep going, or you got more chit-chatting to do?
Probably. I guess if I'm the tallest, do we need it on the tallest or the shortest, or?
We should have one on everybody's ear.
Okay.
Like, if you want to get bitten and stung and poked at, then you can take it off.
No, I was just wondering, we only need one on the shortest person, so then all the smoke is going up and everybody gets it, or no?
Well,
it's just one per person.
Oh,
Got it.
He just kind of hands it up to Thor and then starts passing out one to everybody.
Ready to carry on.
All right. We haven't changed opinions yet. Gonna talk to me, not talk to me?
I'll talk to you if you want to talk.
Okay, let's go. And then he turns and starts walking through the marsh.
I will keep an eye out for any swamp monsters or anything
Okay.
that want to steal my cow.
Okay. So during this little rest stop, for those of you kind of paying attention, probably Valorant keeping an eye on the three followers that you have, you would notice that Clara is just losing her mind. Every 100 feet you guys go in this swamp, there's some petal, some leaf. She's actually started collecting little bits of the actual swamp water that has green particles floating around in it and stash them in a bag. Lavelle is just kind of doing this number, kind of walking through this scenario, just trying not to touch anything or disturb anything, and everything that clings to her clothes, she's and keeps going. Caravan guard number A, that's how you do that, is just stoutly in the back, just watching them, making sure nothing goes awry. But if there isn't anything further here, you guys would continue traveling for the rest of the day.
Carry on.
Okay. So another 4 or 5 hours go, and you guys are traveling more than the normal 8 hours that your party usually functions off of. But it's hard travel, but it's not really exertive. It's just difficult and monotonous and kind of never ending. So after about 12 straight hours of stepping through this mucky water that kind of varies from your ankles to your thighs. Eventually, you see through the fog and the dense foliage of the swamp, it almost just appears like a collection of lean-tos that kind of, I don't know, gyrate slowly on the horizon in front of you. And, it's very clear that Ganon's kind of heading in that direction, trudging through the water, eventually gets up to where there's like a small dock kind of jutted out into the swamp water. He, heaves himself up onto it, looks up behind you. Come on, boys! And kind of hops up onto this small platform that seems to hold a cluster of the swamp people.
Guess I'll set my cow up on it, hoist myself up, and re-grab my cow.
Alright. So, clearly, it is not commonplace for travelers just to appear on these, I guess, communities. So, about 30 or 40 people come out of these various small structures, kind of staring at Ganon, looking at the group. There's a lot of the, middle-aged men or even younger men, kind of like wielding various weapons and whatnot. Their expressions not all too friendly to you. What you would assume to be the oldest gentleman of this community kind of steps forward. He has this very intricate, tall headdress that has various, shrooms and leaves and roots and berries that like grow into the swamp, kind of spread out through his hair, which is almost in this like thick dreadlock kind of collection, almost like a beehive's nest of all of the swamp foliage. And he, steps forward. It's clear that he's probably in his 60s or 70s, but it's somewhat hard to tell based on how these people carry themselves. But he steps forward to Ganon, who communicates with him in this kind of low, resonating, kind of clicky language that is very different from anything that you guys have ever heard. But eventually, the elderly gentleman holds his hand out to him. Ganon goes and spits right in the palm of his hand, and then kind of bows his head and then looks over at you. All right, everyone, spit.
I want to insight check that,
Okay.
because I need to know if he's just pulling our leg there.
It's hard for you to tell, but are you asking a question?
Yeah.
You said what?
Yeah.
Sign of respect. He is taking your body's moisture so that you don't have to carry it through the swamp. Come spit.
Okay.
I'll go do as directed.
Yeah.
So the orderly gentleman kind of like cups both his hands out, and he has these wise, unblinking eyes as you all step forth and, I guess systematically all spit until there's like a puddle of saliva, a bit of like frothy liquid kind of dancing on the top of it in his hands. And once the last of you spit, including Lavelle and Clara, who are like, he just... and then turns around and kind of moves back into the community that's all eyeing you. Ganon kind of looks back at you all. Well, we want to do a little bit of dry sleeping right here. We can do that for the night. We can get your feet nice and elevated, get all that disgusting moisture out of them. Or we can go sleep in the swamp, but I don't recommend that.
Whatever you recommend. You are the guide.
All right. So he begins just kind of like setting up a open air campsite on the end of this dock, like setting up bags, and the ballista that he has is like a pile, which he then lays on the dock and then lays his feet on top of it so they're elevated and in the air, and then kind of like looks over at you all.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, as we're setting up here, I'm gonna send Aurora out on a circle.
Anyone give me a perception check?
Jarek will take a couple minutes to prestidigitate everyone's lower bits.
Okay. She gets advantage, right?
Yeah, she does. Thank you.
Yep.
That's better.
There you go. So getting a like overview of the swamp from Aurora, you quickly realize at her elevation that the kind of persistent fog that lays across this landscape makes it very difficult to discern like smaller details that are either like on the water or just at the surface of the risen land. So you kind of mostly just get a general view of the landscape around you and like the canopy of the trees that kind of reach up above the fog. There's nothing that like grabs your attention immediately, nothing that is like dangerous or that would cause any sort of alarm. You do notice that now that you're away from the dry land of Liamis, you can like in the distance see Ukin's kind of tall hill kind of poking up over the horizon as like the evening sun is kind of setting. But besides that, you could look over off to like your northwest or your west to see the deep as described, where the fog seems to get denser. You can't see across it at all. The fog even goes up above the height of the trees that are in there, and it's a rather ominous look. So that would be what you observed. So, anything for this night, gentlemen?
Not really. Has he not said anything to me after I said let's talk like 4 hours ago?
He generally gave you the vibe of he doesn't want to talk unless like everybody wants to talk.
Oh, okay. Then nope. Just putting my cow down. I guess I'll just sleep next to it like I would Buffy.
Okay.
I actually would to the people. Get back to my notes. To the Kolvmak, do they speak common? Can they speak common?
You would assume that these probably don't. The ones back at Black Hollow spoke very crude common.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to step away for about 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
All right, let me see here. I want to get some seeds. So, is there a way for me to pantomime monkey see, monkey do type of hand gestures? Try and negotiate for some seeds?
Sure. You also have a herbalist with you.
Does she speak Kolvmak?
Well, she might have seeds, if that's what you're looking for.
I want a bunch.
Okay. Go ahead, give me a persuasion? Right?
Be like disadvantage.
Well, so this is just to see if you can get his message across. Which I guess you can. Doing some crude hand gestures towards them. Do like little like sprinkle in and then like a tree growing.
Wait, I have minor illusion, don't I? Fuck, I have minor illusion. I'll illusion some seeds and be like, yeah, you got any of this stuff?
Okay, yeah, you would probably already have the attention of like a handful of the younger children of this group. So yeah, if you like tried to ask for seeds from them, they could produce some mysterious seeds to you.
Yeah, I'll take whatever I can get.
All right, so you have mystery seeds.
Wonderful. That's a secret tool we get to use later.
Jarek and the giant beanstalk. But all right, so anything else for the evening before waking up for dawn? All right.
Detect thoughts as he sleeps. Ganon, that is.
Okay. This is a free thing, right? There's no save against it?
Right. So the first level of it, I can see what he's thinking about. And if I need to go deeper.
Surface thoughts while he's sleeping would probably be like excitement. General emotion. Or maybe like glory.
Okay. Okay, but nothing dishonest then. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So, waking up the next morning, which Ganon almost snaps awake at dawn, almost like he had set some internal alarm to it. He would quickly start going around, getting his things ready, kind of making enough noise so the rest of you are rising to the occasion. But he would eventually kind of like nod his head towards the various Kolmak that are moving around, and then he would look you all over. Well, changed our minds about communication, bit of open dialogue.
I told you I'd talk to you.
You willing to tell me why you're here, what you're looking for, why you want Ziggurat?
Yeah. Well, I want them for a couple of reasons. But, do you want to know now? Are we leaving? Are we...
Let's talk about this once we've moved past here. And you're gonna hop off
okay.
the dock and begin just trudging through the swamp.
Gotcha.
So,
Also, can I just get, like, a general, you know... I want to make sure this guy isn't, like, you know, someone he's in disguise, right?
okay.
Now, I have looked at him with said telescope.
Mm-hmm.
What, you know, what's going on there?
You might
Magic.
see like one or two of his trinkets glow, but nothing like his whole body or anything.
School of Magic?
Do you
Good
know?
question.
Well, I mean, 'cause if any of it is illusion magic, then that's a
It is
concern.
not illusion magic.
Okay, then I will accept, and that's fine.
Okay. So moving away from the raft community, probably traveling for about 30 minutes or so, he eventually would turn to you as you are still trudging along. All right, let's hear it. Why are you here?
So just be petting the cow. That's we're walking. So Ziggurat is, we're not really looking for the dragon necessarily, but we're more looking for the treasure that the dragon guards, right? You know, dragons are always infamous for having a lot of treasure, right? Right. So, oh gee.
It's rubbing off.
Stop it.
All right, two cows.
So-
Now that
So there is a particular piece of treasure that we are after, that we don't really know what it does, but we know that it's very important in some, you know, world-changing events that are going on. So that's why we're after it, and we're also after it because somebody else is after it, but we don't want them to get it before we get it. It's kind of like a race.
I'd imagine that if you know what it is, you know its name.
Oh, I have no idea what its name is. I know it's like a body part of some magic being.
Thor.
What?
Look, Jack will plod up a little bit closer. Look, we need to fight a god in Ziggurat. It has what we need.
All right.
That's the short version.
I've no interest in stealing your body parts. I mean, that body part, I guess I should say. I enjoy having a bit of honesty in this group. It's nice and refreshing. So I'll give you, I guess, a little hint of what I know, since you don't want to just come out and tell me what you know. I know for a fact that the Kolmok go into the deep. And I know why, and I know where, and I have some ideas why.
Whenever you have to ask why, it's usually money or profit.
No. Probably for like sacrificial reasons, so that they're sacrificing to the dragon so they can appease the dragon. So
Who
then
tells
the dragon...
you are smarter than you let on?
Yep.
So now that
Well, now
we've
I'm three
communicated,
cows.
why don't you tell me what you're looking for? Because I have no interest in it. I just want to know that you're willing to part with that information, and I'll tell you what I know.
I told you it's a body part.
Of who? Of what? Of what importance?
We have to fight a god.
So it's a body part of a god.
Oh, for Christ's sake, look. If all the parts of this god get reunited, something along the order of the end of the world happens.
You lot seem like you are all on the same page. Let's quickly just point out that you've told me all the important bits about this, but you're refusing to tell me the name. I guarantee if I had any interest in this god or his body parts, then I'd already know the name. All I'm asking, I don't even want to know what you're doing or what world you're saving, is what this god is, so I can feel better when I sleep at night beside you all.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Torridan, alright?
Thank the gods! One of you is at least somewhat smart. Alright, let's talk about what I know, because Jesus Christ, that took you so long. In the deep in the deep, pretty funny that, there is a massive, giant, stone dragon head. We're talking building, large building, biggest building you ever done saw. There is a huge willow tree that grows on top of that skull. The Colmark bring, I guess they're elderly, the used up ones, out there, and they lay them down at the foot of this dragon stone, dragon temple, whatever you call it. Little things come out, take it, bring it in. Pretty interesting, if you ask me.
Oh, wait.
Comes out.
So that's basically what I said.
Guess
Now,
you don't even need me anymore.
the dragon head is just... It's just made of stone, as far as you know.
Well, I don't get too close to it, but yeah.
So you've seen
Well,
I've seen it, I've been in the deep.
I guess the only reason would be because if this dragon is alive, right, JD, it would be like hundreds of years old.
Well,
So
I mean, that's not all that impressive.
Well, I mean, how old did it say that this dragon was?
Well, I mean,
He's called the Timeless.
Ziggurat, the Timeless
thought he was cigarette
of the night.
the night.
There's a few different names, a few different rumors and myths and songs about him, but from what I've heard, talking to this lot, not you lot, not a lot to learn from you lot, he's rather old, more than a few hundred if you get what I'm meaning.
So then that means, you know, I imagine they grow bigger the older they are. So he's probably pretty big.
Very smart.
Which, you know, by that rule, the stone head that you see could just be the dragon
Could be.
just resting and waiting.
Mr. Toller, as
He
long
speaks.
as long as we're being so forthcoming now as a group, let's talk about why it was so important to you to know and how you seem to know already, and we're just waiting for us to say it. And
know
don't
if
tell
you-
me it's because the truth gives you warm, fuzzy feelings.
I can see why you don't talk a lot. Pretty intelligent, I think. Not a lot of colourful individuals such as you sort want to go into the swamp for any reason besides wanting to die. So, I assumed that 4 people sent by the King of Giles, whoever the fuck that is, there would be something rather important on the end of that particular carrot and stick situation. I don't really give a shit what it is, but if I'm going to lead you there, I should know from my conscience that you're not meaning any foul play or anything dark and mysterious. I got a world to, I don't know, look after.
Well, probably
Now-
not long if we fail.
Also,
Mr. Toller, I believe that is horse shit.
Ooh.
He
I think that you already knew about the Tordan piece. I think that you may even serve Ziggurat.
Insight check. Lord Valorant was your name, right?
It is.
I serve myself. Let's make that particularly clear. And I'm telling you the truth now. Guarantee it. Big fan of slaying things, killing things, lots of big beastie things. I don't know what kind of pleasure it brings me, but it does, so I go after it. I've been in this swamp for 5 years. 5 years is a very long time. I hope you understand that. When you go into the deep, a lot of your opinions on the world change. It's a very different place. Seen some nasty things, seen some visions or two, eat some things that gave me some, I don't know, strange feelings. I understand, and it's hard for me to describe, there is a sacredness about this swamp. There is a harmony, a life to this swamp that needs protecting. The Hydra in here, it's causing a bit of chaos, a bit of disharmony, I guess you could say. I have been told by the powers that be to take care of it. That's what I'm doing. Don't know who it is, don't know who I serve, but I know what I know and what I need to do. Perhaps that's Ziggurat, perhaps it's a crazy old man in a box in the middle of the swamp. I don't ask questions, I merely just do what I have been told to do. Answer your question?
We're defending his territory for him.
Get a cool Hydra head out of it.
Very well.
I think we're going to be great friends. All right. Keeps trudging along. So you guys are now a day and a half through your 3-day journey. So there's another half day and then a full day of travel after this. He is planning on preparing for the Hydra ambush, I guess you could say, that next day. So rest of this day, full day, that next dawn is when he wants to set up for the encounter. So is there going to be anything between now and then, I guess is the general question. Any questions, conversations, tidbits, things of that nature?
Not unless he provokes any more questions.
Okay. Jarek, you had something earlier. We've answered that or moved past that? Simple enough. All right.
I do not recall what you refer to.
I think you were going to try and read his mind or something when Valorant was inciting him.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm starting to get the feeling that that's a moot point.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm going to make the executive decision that if there's nothing between now and then, we'll go ahead and take an early 10-minute break, and then we'll pick back up. So, as the party finishes up their traveling to the location of the Hydra, and then is pointed out where its stomping grounds are, they formulate this expertly crafted plan to lure it in via the cow and then descend upon it once it appears. Waking up early that dawn, kind of walking around the landscape, figuring out how everything's going to go down, you eventually place Ganon in a tree kind of off to the east, and he's tucked behind like shrubbery and leaves and a bit of mud and whatnot to try and hide himself away as much as possible. He also would, I guess, recommend to you all to cover yourself in mud and muck and various other things to help hide your smell, or you guys like prestidigitate not a smell, something like that. Just so that it isn't alerted early, even though hopefully most of its attention should be on the cow. So once everyone's in place, you kind of see Ganon's head like peer out of his little ballista point, just like look at you all and do like a...
Yeah, and we can all see each other, right? I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll just keep ears out.
Okay. Everyone want to give me a round of stealth checks? I see that, Jarek, you already gave me one.
And I luckied it for
Okay.
Lovely 14.
Okay.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 22, 14, 13, 14. Damn. All right.
It's not the group. Let's go.
Okay. Any last minute prep? Everybody ready?
I'll be using silver bolts
Yeah.
in my crossbow, just to be clear.
All right. So, I guess Thor and Valorant, you probably have the best, I guess, sight range on the immediate area that you're hoping it's coming through. And it's early dawn. Again, it's a rather, I guess, strange symphony of noises that you aren't quite used to. Some frog rivets and like splashes in the water, distant, almost like tropical sounding birds. But you are sat there very patiently, very still, staring over this murky water that is only like very briefly disrupted every now and then by some small tadpole or fish kind of like grabbing a little bit of food off of the surface. It doesn't have like the general ripples of like an ocean or a large lake. It's just this kind of still, murky, brown water. But the two of you, as you're sat there waiting, kind of almost like staring at this singular spot that you think it's going to appear from, eventually you see the surface of the water kind of tremble ever so slightly, just like push away from this small point in the middle of it. And then you see the top of a head like slowly kind of raise from the water, and it almost looks like a large alligator head. This long scaled snout, these two beady eyes, and it just sticks up enough so the eyes actually break the surface of the water. You see them kind of dart around independently, checking the different foliage and trees and water lines and whatnot before the two eyes kind of to the cow in front of it, and then the head slowly recedes back into the water.
And where was that roughly?
It'd be roughly like right there.
Okay. So then I would just kind of signal out to, I guess, Decker, basically everybody behind me, and kind of register with Valorant that we both saw the same thing. And I just point like generally to where it's coming from.
Okay.
And then draw my pickaxe.
All right. So no actions at this time, I'm assuming?
Nope, not yet.
All right. So
Do I have to use a verbal or sound component for Bardic Inspiration, or can I just give people a thumbs up?
No, I think you
Oh,
need some verbal there.
And this kind of, it didn't look like, a standard alligator or anything, right? Like it.
I don't think Thor is very familiar with discerning alligators and hydras.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, did it look bigger than,
Yes.
I guess, a normal? Okay.
Yeah.
That was more of my question.
Okay.
I don't want like an alligator just coming out and eating it, and then
Fucking off.
the hydra eats the alligator.
There you go. It's a circle of life.
Yeah.
So a few still moments pass where you're unsure if it's going to return. You're sat there silently trying to just wait it out, hoping that what you saw wasn't it, being alerted to some, various party member. But eventually, after a few more moments, another head appears. You can tell that this one is a slightly different color than the first, making you aware that this is a second head. But eventually, the majority of the beast begins to kind of rise from the water. First, it's one head, and then quickly following that's the second head. And these serpent-like heads are on the end of these long, wriggling necks that are probably 6-7 feet long before they connect back to the base. So you see almost like fingers of a head kind of coming just above the water and then slithering onto the land. And after about 3 or so seconds of watching this thing rise out of the water, you'd be able to count 6 distinct various heads on it. One's kind of looking off to the left, one's looking to the right. The main 4 in the center are kind of just like swirling across the ground, clearly eyeing the cow somewhat hesitantly, might be the general description of its movements. The main portion of its body is still in the water, and the necks have reached out to about, 8 or 9 feet to start crawling towards the cow. Any actions at this point?
I think we probably just...
What's the size of this creature? Is it large or
Huge.
huge? Okay.
So we would just like hold until it attacks the cow. Would be my best understanding of that plan.
I'm sure you guys could have discussed this beforehand if you want to do some powwowing.
I thought that was the plan. Wait till it's distracted eating and then
Yeah.
attack.
All right. So as you all watch for a few more seconds, it's still slowly inching its way towards the cow. Finally, the cow that was chomping on a bit of grass realizes what's approaching it, and it kind of looks over. Did you guys like stake it down or something? I guess I should have asked that at some point.
Yeah.
There was rope.
We wouldn't have just left it out there and been like, be free.
So the cow kind of looks over and sees it. You see its eyes go wide, and it tries to go and take like a clomping step away from this impending creature. And right as the cow goes to shift, the front 2 heads of the Hydra leap out with this like lightning fast snap, and you see one take the front half of the cow and the other take the back half of the cow and basically just tear the thing in two. You hear this sickening like before like all of the ribs and bones and the spine is just yanked apart, and then the 2 heads kind of like whip back and like do the whole like gobbling noise where they throw their head to get it deeper back in their jaw, and that's when you guys...
That's when we attack.
All right, everyone roll me initiative. All right, so we got 22 in the start, which is Decker. And then we have 17, which is Thor, following up. And Jarek, then Valoran.
Did we get to know Ganon's?
I will tell you. He got a 17, so he is going right after Thor. All right, so order of initiative: Decker, Thor, Ganon, Jarek, Valoran. So, Decker, you are the first to act.
False. Aurora is.
Okay.
So she's gonna swoop in and give me the help action,
Okay.
and then fly off over here. And I'm gonna run right past Thor and just kind of smile at him as I rush by him and tell him I'm first, and see how this works.
I'm going to disappoint you, sir. You do not have advantage on this strike.
Okay.
Aurora does something, but does not give you advantage.
Okay. Any reason why not?
Give me perception. Or insight. Give me insight. My bad.
Insight.
All right. So
Yeah,
as you
just
are darting by Thor, kind of giving him a little, like a smirk or dashing smile, you glance over at the Hydra where Aurora is just sailing off. And where, like, when you're usually fighting an enemy and you've, like, found this flow with Aurora where she kind of pulls attention, then you strike, you see that one of the 6 Hydra heads, one of the ones that has actually began eating the cow, was distracted by Aurora, where she first landed and kind of, like, scratched at its eyes and then flew off. So that head has now turns its attention towards Aurora as she's flying away, but the other 5 are alert and looking around. So as you are running up, one of them kind of squares off with you, giving you the general understanding that that singular head is focused on you and not distracted.
Okay. All right. Well, I will. Do I have to pick a head to attack, or?
No.
Okay. There's a 29 hit.
That does hit. Good lord.
So,
Oh, I forgot you got the +2.
All right. So let's see. Then without. Oh wait.
So without sneak attack damage, right?
Yeah.
That would just be the piercing, so it'd be 10.
It's
Does
1d8 plus 9, and then booming blade. Yeah. Actually, can I hit the wrong thing. Let me.
What were you gonna ask, Jarek?
I was gonna say the +2 adds to damage as well as attack roll. I think.
It's just a
Yeah.
attack
That's how-
roll?
It's damage and
Oh, is it?
and attack. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. So, did that apply to your piercing damage?
It's hard to see if it did or not.
You had a 1d8 which rolled a 1 plus 9, which gave you a 10. So that plus 9 is probably your dex and the +2?
Yeah, and I'm gonna use the Piercer feat and re-roll that 1.
Okay.
So it's a D8, so that now becomes a 3. So plus
So
2
that
more
would be.
damage.
Yeah, 3 plus 8 is 11? No. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's 3 plus 9, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, plus 9, so it'd be 12. Gotcha, thank
So
you.
it's 12.
And then the booming blade damage was 7, the initial damage, right? And the 13 is when it moves?
Yes.
Okay, so total
And
19 damage?
yeah. And then bonus action disengage. So that was here 10, 20.
Is booming
Yeah.
blade a bonus action?
No, it's a spell. It's
Okay.
how I initiate every attack.
How do you have the... Is it free?
Yeah, it's a cantrip.
Do you make a
Action to cast.
melee spell attack when you cast it?
Oh,
what it
maybe
is?
that's it. Yeah, booming blade is the cast and the attack at the same time.
Yeah. Right.
Gotcha.
It's
All
like
right.
when you cast spiritual weapon and the spiritual weapon makes an attack at the same time.
So 19 damage, bonus action disengage. That's the plan?
Yep.
All right. So as you rush forward, you find your true strike facing off of one of the heads. It's kind of like slithering around eye level with you. As you jam your rapier forward, you see it hit the scales of the neck. And where you kind of hope it would dig in, you're kind of misdirected and kind of glance off the side. The energy that you imbue upon the weapon, you see transfer in and actually reach beneath the scales, giving you some satisfaction. But it seems that the actual physical attack that you have with your sword kind of got deflected.
And it does count as magic damage, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay. So that's your turn, sir, and then you dart away.
Yeah.
All right, we're to Thor.
So I will bonus action rage.
Mm-hmm.
That is importante. Oh, well, never mind. That changes what I was going to do. In the spirit of... Oh, that's why I can't move. In the spirit of spreading heads, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. That's not rough terrain, right?
Nope, that's still shallow. You're good.
Gotcha. Just gonna try to flank with Decker, but he moved away, so it doesn't happen anymore. So I guess I'll just take my 2 attacks with my pickaxe.
Okay.
I'll go reckless, because why not? 23 and 21.
Okay, those both hit.
All right. So that is 8 and 15.
Okay, so that'd be 23.
Yep.
Okay.
Total.
So as you go tromping off of the dry land and into the shallow water of the marsh, arming yourself against this hydra, you see one of the heads that, I don't know, was kind of trailing behind, kind of keeping the left side of the body kind of guarded, face around towards you, kind of almost bending itself in an entirely U shape. And as you strike out with the pickaxe, you hit the side, kind of causing the head to like shift over a little bit, and then you land your second strike, and each time you see, I guess, the tip of your pick hit the scale, kind of leave a nice deep scrape, but again, not getting through the scales or into the flesh of the thing, but you do land 2 blows on it.
Gotcha. I then like to just kind of hiss back at it and just stay there.
All right. Okay, and then we're to Ganon, who at this point is going to just not do anything until his opportunity is opened. He's going to ready the shot for whenever that is open, but that is his action for the turn. So, now we're to Jarek.
Jarek will call out to Ganon. Don't fire until you see the whites of the scales, and give him some bardic inspiration.
All right.
Gotta make sure that can fire off. And then looking at the thing, Jarek will just yell out, "The gods gave you 6 heads, each one of them more hideous than the last." And if Sir Hydra could make a wisdom saving throw, needs to beat a 15.
Let me double check something real quick. Okay. It fails.
Okay, it will take 7 psychic damage and has disadvantage on its next attack.
All right. Give me a number between 1 and 6.
Fudge. Okay.
That's not a number.
No, I know, but now I know what you're gonna do. Let's go with 4.
All right. Anything else, sir?
And no, that shall be all, sir.
Okay. So, Jarek, as you are tucked away in your bush, a fair distance from the fight, lending your aid towards the also hidden and tucked away Ganon, looking at the Hydra, which is now hissing towards retreating Decker and fighting Thor in the back, you see one of the heads, like, kind of perk up, its ear, or I guess the slit where its ear should be, kind of like twitching a little bit before it like looks over and meets your gaze, and you see its eyes kind of focus in on you before it does a quick little like wince, the neck kind of squirming a little bit. And that is your turn, sir. Valoran.
Alright, so Valoran stands up out of the brush and speaks the command word to light his flame tongue glaive.
Nice.
And tell me if I think I've plotted a course that will get me around any difficult terrain, but stop me if I... So there's 5, 10, 15. At this point, he holds the glaive straight up in the air, and he calls out, Ibuaya Rikara, and a ring of golden light, sort of like when you throw a rock in water and the ring that emanates out from it. This ring emanates out from the flaming tip, and as it crosses over the heads of Thor, Ganon, and Decker, they are blessed.
Hell yeah.
So you get a D4 whenever you do an attack or save, I think it is. Yeah, save.
So Ganon now has Bardic Inspiration and a Bless on him. Alright.
Yeah. And so I think I have 15 more movement, so there's 20... Do you do the thing where the second diagonal is 10 feet?
No, it's fine.
No? Okay. So then I can get here and flank with Thor. And
Alright.
that is my turn.
Okay. And you don't attack on this turn, correct?
No, Bless was an action.
Yep, okay. So stepping out of your bush, I like almost feel like you do like the Kylo Ren where he like flicks his wrist, the lightsaber ignites. You like step out, flick the glaive, the fire ignites on the blade, and you then trumble through the squishy marshland and then shout out your blessing that descends upon this thick and groggy environment, and then go storming to the back of the Hydra, which I guess back of the Hydra is rather relative. That is your turn, sir? Alright. Thor? Dexterity saving throw. You do not get advantage.
Okay.
Do you want to use your
I don't know that a 4 will help.
Yeah. Alrighty then. Give me a strength save. No, give me athletics with disadvantage. All right. Thor,
No,
you've
no, wait, no, you just hold on there, cowboy. I'm taking that Hydra's doing something. It's doing a thing
Yes.
involving ability checks.
Yes.
All right, so
Are you referring to your words used against it?
my cutting words. That well depends on if it's attacking or if it's ability checking. Yeah, screw it, whatever. I'll use whatever it is. Cutting words. Seeing that the thing's gonna pop out and be like, not only are all heads ugly, they're each one dumber than the last. And please remove that from whatever it is you just rolled.
Ooh. Give me a number between 1 and 6.
Oh, god damn it. I'll stick with 4.
Alright. So, despite your valiant efforts to hopefully impede this monster for whatever plans it may have for your beloved companions, you would see, as you are, I guess, mostly worried about Thor, because Valorant's fine. You see the big beast behind the Hydra that is Thor, that is slashing away at one of the heads, all of a sudden just disappear. You see all 7 feet of him just swooped into the water. As Thor, you feel yourself being dragged down by this incredibly strong tail that has whipped itself around your leg up to around your knee, and you are now dragged and submerged, and you're almost being like sloshed around like you're trying to clean a spatula in a, I don't know, a bowl of water, just like back and forth. So you are now grappled, sir, and restrained, I guess would be also the other effect. That was that. Valoran, Decker's out of range, Gannon and Jarek's out of range. Oh, poor Valoran. Okay. Valoran, you are getting 4 attacks sent your way. One of them is at disadvantage. Was that the thing that you used earlier, right, Jarek?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the disadvantage one first. What's your AC, sir?
18.
First one misses. Alright, so these are the straight ones. 1 hits. Misses. Hits. Alright. What is it? Oh, okay.
This is a good time to say don't forget about your temporary 5 hit points, everybody.
Yeah. Where is it? Here it is. Okay.
Temporary
I didn't
not
sustain
being
damage
word.
from that, did I? I was just saying I didn't sustain damage from that, did I?
No,
Okay.
you did not.
Alright.
So... Oh my god. Valoran, my poor gentleman, you take 36 points of damage.
Excuse me? What?
Rolled 2 10s.
We're in it, baby. We're in it.
All right.
So,
Okay, then.
Valoran, as you are stood tall against this beast, your blessing light kind of falling forth from your valiant figure, 4 of the Hydra heads almost whip around and stare you down, the majority of your field of vision taken up by these large serpent monster heads, and as you are left as the only person in front of this thing, they lash out at you with this violence that you are surprised from. Like, it was such a quick and sudden motion that you could only dodge 2, kind of shoving one to the side as the others kind of descend upon you, and you just feel its razor sharp rows of teeth digging into your arm, digging into your thigh, kind of getting 2 decisive bites before you can kind of swat them away from your figure. And we are now to Decker.
just look at Valoran horrified. I yell over it and tell him, hurry up and shoot the damn thing. And I'm going to send Aurora in, and I'm going to attempt to use the help action again on the head that's grappling Thor to give
There's
him...
not a head grappling Thor.
Okay.
It's the tail.
Tail.
Oh, so I'm gonna try and give him the help action just on the off chance.
All right, let me do a little bit of explanation to make sure everybody understands what's going on, because it's a little bit complicated. Aurora distracted a head that was focused on it for the entirety of that round, all right? And then the 4 heads that were left that struck out at Valoran were the 4 that were kind of active at that point, the 5th one being ruined by Jarek's attempts. So you successfully distracted 2 heads last round and left 4 alive, quote-unquote, that all focused on Valoran. The plan, to make sure everyone still understands the plan, is to distract the heads in enough of an array that the center of the being is exposed.
Okay, so given that, I'm going to have her come in from this angle and try to get it to turn so that its belly is facing the shot, as I yell out to him to hurry up and take the shot.
Gotcha. So distracting a head, flying off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I'm going to come in and repeat my attack again. And let's see if I can get it right this time. All right. So 27.
That does hit. And you get sneak attack because you have an ally within 5 feet of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So there's that roll. And here comes sneak attack.
Oh, you mean booming blade?
No, that was the sneak attack damage.
Okay.
Oh no, it showed sneak attack.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want to take that 5 instead of the 7.
No, I'd rather not. Now, God, why won't it expand? My piercing damage was what?
You rolled a 6 for your piercing damage.
Okay, then that's fine. Oh, I see it. All right. And then I'm going to... I don't think I'm going to back away. I'm going to use a superiority die, and I'm going to brace. And I'm going to stay.
Okay. So that's a total of 22 damage, correct?
Yes.
All right. That ends your turn, sir?
It does.
So as Aurora swoops in, kind of like pounding the small amount of weight that she carries on one of its heads and then flying away, you see one of the serpentine heads that had attacked Valoran just moments ago, whipping around, kind of craning itself, and then trying to snap at Aurora as she flies off, but now is kind of distracted off to the northwest. You come in charging, distracting yet another head from Valoran, stabbing at it. Again, you see your blade not pierce the scales, but at least hitting it hard enough to get its attention upon you, and then bracing yourself, kind of almost like dancing or preparing yourself for a strike that you can dart out of the way. And that ends your turn, sir, right?
Yeah.
We are down to Thor. So, you can try and break free of what you're in right now, or you can attempt to attack the tail with disadvantage and potentially sever it, but you don't know how much damage you need to do to sever it, I guess is the drawback.
Yeah, so what is the check for...
It's an opposed athletics.
Okay. And I don't have, like, disadvantage on it?
Yes, you would not have disadvantage on it now.
Okay. So then, yeah, I'd rather just break the grapple, because I have advantage on contested athletics.
Go ahead and give me what you got.
And then I add a D4 to that, right? Wait, is it? No, it's attacks and saving throws. Never mind.
So you are able to break free. That is your action. You still have your movement, but you're prone in the water. So you can stand back up this turn, and that's, I guess, all you can do.
Yeah, I'd like to, I guess, get up from prone, out of the water, and move on to land right here.
Okay.
And I don't really have a bonus action. So that is all I got for right now.
Okay. So as you're being swung back and forth through this water, and again, like, due to being in combat in a heightened state, you're probably sucking in a little bit of this. So you're getting, like, disgusting swamp water in your lungs as you're thrashing around, trying to keep a hold of your weapon, trying to pry the tail from your leg, and eventually you get a hand kind of underneath the singular muscle that makes up the tail, and you just wrench with all your might, ripping its grasp from your leg before you free yourself enough to kind of kick it away with your feet, standing up in the shallow water. Now you are covered from head to toe in the disgusting muck of the swamp, but you clamber back onto the dry land, kind of looking back at it. And that's your turn, sir.
I'm just gonna be like, forgot about the tail. And then, yeah, I'm trying to get, I guess, to a space where I can't not see the tail come at me, right? So, like, this is land, so I have to, visually be able to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Then
that
was my...
Yeah, to Ganon, who, from his bush hiding spot, and after Decker calling out him, would go, "Get the heads distracted!" And then that would be his turn, still readying for the shot, and we'd be down to Jarek.
Okay, so from what we've seen so far, each head is its own attack thing. It's got a body, it's got a tail.
So we have one distracted by Aurora,
right?
One that just got hit by Decker, and then there's still 3 trained on Valorant, and then 1 that is unspoken for.
Okay, so from everything that's happened, I don't know if I need to roll insight on this, but I'm thinking we need to either attack or damage or affect each head. Each head.
You could roll me an insight and see what I can give you. Since you are the one observing this from afar. Yeah, sounds about right.
Just hold that thought. Just hold that thought. I swear to God.
Astounding. Astounding. It's hard to tell. There's a lot of chirping, frog ribbits. It's kind of distracting.
Alright, so keep up with what I'm doing and just yell mean things at this giant monster. No. Jarek is going to shoot it. But I'd like to aim for the tail or body, I guess, if that's an option.
All right.
I'm using silver bolts. I don't think that gives me any type of bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That would hit. You guys are rolling really high today.
Yeah, don't jinx us.
Oh, except for your insight.
My damage.
So you are aiming specifically for the body?
Yeah. Yeah.
Number between 1 and 4.
4.
All right. Is that all you have, or you have anything else there?
Well, my question here comes in. Okay, does the arrow stick?
No.
Okay. And then in that case, my second thing would be to look over at Valorant and just keep your chin up, bud, and give him some bardic inspiration.
All right. So Jarek
that's it.
Okay. As you let loose your bolt and you find an impressive mark through all the trees and vines and limbs, and it strikes and just kind of weakly deflects off the scales, you see the head that had previously kind of been affected by your words kind of like lazily look over at you and then try to like snap towards you, but clearly it's still attached to the body, so it only gets so far before it kind of like hisses and then draws back, but its eyes are on you. So at this point there are only 3 heads and they're focused on Valorant at this point. And we're to Valorant.
Alright, I'm gonna scooch over here.
Okay.
Can I achieve flanking with Thor?
If you're hitting specifically the head that he is distracting, yes. If not, and you're hitting the other heads, then no.
Yeah, okay, I'll hit a different head.
Okay.
Attack number 1.
Okay, that would hit. It's 21.
Yep.
All right.
Attack number 2.
That misses.
What's the Bardic Inspiration die?
A D8.
That would be a hit. That's 22, right? Yeah. 17. Yeah, 17. Yeah.
Wait, so question. Am I distracting a head right now?
Yes, because you're running around
Because
it right now.
Wouldn't that be 4 heads then? Aurora, Rob's head, Jarek's head, and then the
Oh,
head
you are
that
right.
Val-
I miscounted. So there's 2 on Valorant, 1 on you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Because there were 3 on him, but then I came out of the water.
So
I
we
guess
got-
1 was-
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, continue.
Sorry, I just wanted to.
Good.
And lastly, the polearm bonus.
That's an 18. That would hit. All right. You would get the same, I guess, impact as the other attacks so far. You would strike the scales, and the glaive wouldn't go past the hard exterior of this creature, but the flaming energy that is imbued on your blade would almost like dive beneath the scales and kind of push out a small burst of heat that the creature seems like hiss in pain towards, I guess alluding to it taking a bit more damage than the strike that kind of glances away from it. But you do land your 3 strikes. Your final one kind of like cracking against the scales, where you just hear this like of your the end of your glaive connecting with the harder shell. But that would be your turn, sir.
Yep.
All right. So I think we have all of the heads distracted in enough ways that Ganon's going to take the shot. He would still have Bardic Inspiration, right, sir?
10 minutes worth.
Okay.
And a blessing.
And
And a blessing. So what's the bonus then? It would be a 1d8 and then...
D8 and a D4.
Okay. Everyone give me... you can choose Deception or Persuasion.
Can I ask for what?
For... things. So we got 22, 23, 14, 15.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get better. I'll take that.
All right. So
Give me my luck.
22, 23, 14, 29. 1 sec, doing a little bit of quick math here. All right. All right. And then plus 1d8. Okay. Plus 1d4. All right. All right. So as you all are entangled with this creature, some of the necks even kind of swirling around each other, trying to like snap in opposite directions. One's trying to like re-secure Thor after he breaks free from the tail. The other one's still trying to snap at Jarek off in the distance, not being able to move away. Aurora kind of like sitting on a branch, kind of hopping around, screeching off in the west. Ganon kind of hunkers himself down behind the ballista, lining up the sights. He feels this strange swell of pride from the fat man that gave him the inspiration, and then also this like light soul-lifting energy that comes from Valorant. And as he's staring at the swirling mass, the weak spot kind of shifting around a few inches back and forth, he just, all right, beastie, fires the ballista. You hear this sharp clang, the rope kind of snapping back to attention as this large, almost like log-sized piece of wood flies through the murky air of the swamp. And Thor, right as you're like reeling back from getting out of the water, stepping onto dry land and staring over at the Hydra, one of the heads opens its mouth looking like it's about to descend upon you. You just hear this sickening crunch, and you glance down to the left and you see the bolt sticking out from the weak spot, embedded about maybe half a foot down into the beast itself. And all of the heads rear back, like standing up like wacky inflatable arm salesmen, whipping back and forth into the sky, screaming out into the marsh. The various birds have been kind of like sitting around in the trees, darting off into the sky as this big eruption of noise kind of rings out across this otherwise kind of still environment before each head kind of goes thump, 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 like landing on the ground, just like limply landing with this massive earth-shaking like tremor. Some of them landing in the water, kind of splashing Thor again with a bunch of the murky shit he just crawled out of, before the creature lays limp completely, the body kind of slowly sinking and sliding into the mud, kind of a few feet more back into the water. And that would be it.
Yay!
Good shot, Cannon. Good shot.
Ganon would just be like leaping out of the bush like, "Oh, I knew it! I knew I'd get that shit! You boys are brilliant! Brilliant!" And he starts like thundering over towards the Hydra's body.
I'll just stand back and watch what he's so excited about this freaking reptile for at this point.
I'm gonna inspect it to make sure it's dead.
Alright. Give it like a little kick or a shove or something.
Yeah, I mean, kick, shove, hit it with a pickaxe. I don't know, just anything to make sure this thing isn't moving anymore.
If you give it some sort of stimulus, you would see it kind of like inflexively like quiver or shake from like the residual, I guess, like muscle tension inside of it, but it doesn't like breathe or move around or look at you or anything. It just kind of like does this periodically.
Okay. The after death shakes. I get it.
But he would like run up, and immediately one of the heads that kind of landed on the dry land, it's almost like the width of a horse is the general size you're looking at. Ganon just like leaps over it, straddling its, I guess, width, grabbing out a blade from his hip, and just starts jamming it under the scale. Just hears like as he's just like forcing it through the back of its head.
Do you mind if I like take one of the teeth or something?
I think you've earned some teeth. Take some teeth. I just need the tongues and the heads.
Okay.
This is a magical creature, right?
Hmm?
Was a Hydra a magical creature?
I guess. I mean, that's kind of a loose term. What are you asking?
I'm just thinking about eating it.
All right.
That was also on my mind. Jarek would attend to Valorant and be like, "Valorant, I've got a couple of potions left over from a while back. Do you
The potions are for a more of an acute nature. We have employed a healer, haven't we?
Valorant just holds his hand up and shakes his head. I'll be fine.
I mean, that's a lot of blood, Valorant. I'm just
Surely
Just like,
I'll be fine.
I'll just like knock out some of the front teeth, pocket a couple, and then I'll look up and see that Valorant's like dying, and I'll just be like, "Oh my god!" And then I'll just run over the Hydra because I imagine most of its body's still out of the water. Are you okay? What happened? I was underwater for like 5 seconds.
He holds his hand up again and he looks at Ganon and he says, "How far are we from where you're going to lead us in the deep?"
Probably about 2 days, 3 days, somewhere of that nature. But I gotta get all these heads secure up on the trees before we move on. But if you want to help me with that, we can get in a jiff.
So Valorant just sort of nods and, kind of leaning on his glaive, he puts his left fist with his charm bracelet to his chest, and a glowing golden light emanates from it, and he is restored to full.
You took 36 damage, right, sir?
Yes, I did.
Give me a wisdom check.
Okay.
When nobody's looking, I'm gonna go up on the corpse and just run my hands along it and let the gloves of lubing do their thing.
Jesus Christ. So, one second, we'll get to you, Valorant. Decker, as you approach the Hydra, Gannon would kind of look over at you and be like, "Oi, why don't you start chopping with me?"
Right, yes, that was exactly my intent. Do you have an axe or anything?
Oh, I got knives. That little pokey stick ain't gonna do shit. He'd like pull out kind of like a, what's it called, a Bowie knife, and start like handing it over to you.
So I would take it, and like I said, somewhere kind of central where somebody might potentially step, I'm gonna just throw a little lube down there, and then I'll get to work on a head.
Okay. So Valorant, as you kind of dismiss your companions, I'm fine, I'm a tough guy, get the fuck out of here. As you are healing yourself, and you like take a reclusive moment to kind of reflect on what just happened and make sure you're ready for the trudge of the journey ahead, there isn't any noise, there isn't any sort of, warning to the sensation you feel. You're, have your hand kind of clutched to your chest before you feel like two hands kind of like coming from behind you, starting at your shoulder, and just kind of slowly move across your chest and almost kind of like embrace you for a brief second before the hands fade away. And there's no physical show of this, but just the general like very temporary feeling of someone like kind of almost hugging you from behind.
So the light washes over him, and he straightens back up, and he's good as new as far as anyone else could tell. And to the rest of the group, you just see him sort of like take a second, and he kind of gets this sort of crooked grin, and then kind of he runs his hand down his chest for a second in this almost thirst trap sort of way. He kind of looks around.
Is everything okay?
Yes, Thor. Everything is well.
Do you need some time for yourself?
No. Just that moment was more than sufficient.
All right. Well, I guess let's get to chopping.
Man, I wish my healing could do that to myself. But, okay.
So he takes a dagger from his side and just kind of leans the glaive against the corpse of the Hydra. And I'm actually going to attempt to use the dagger just to pry scales off of the Hydra. I'm kind of interested in how hard these things are.
Okay. Give me an athletics check, followed by a dexterity check.
Oh,
The scales balance.
Damn, what a flip. So, perhaps slightly distracted by most recent events, you kind of get the dagger beneath the scale and you start prying at it, and your arm just isn't following through on your intent. It just kind of weakly shoves at it. You're just like, fuck, and just kind of realize you cannot pry this singular scale that you're working on out of the neck.
I'm gonna keep trying for as long as they're still sawing off heads.
Okay.
If that scale won't come off, then I'll just move to a different one.
All right. So as Decker, you are assisting. Thor, you are assisting. Valorant's doing his own thing. Jarek, what are you doing, sir?
Searching to recover my silver arrow. Those were expensive.
You realize it hit the Hydra and then just glanced off into the marsh, right?
Yeah.
Looking. Okay, give me investigation with disadvantage.
Very expensive. I was gonna say Thor would like just because he didn't get to use his ability, he would just like practice throwing the pickaxe around to one of the heads and then teleport to the head and then call it back.
4? Alright. You
4.
don't find your bolt.
You'd
Thor?
just be shaking.
As the party is going about their routine, or I guess not the routine, their task at hand, you throw your pickaxe off. Are you throwing it where?
I'm trying to throw it at one of the heads.
And then you're teleporting like on top of it?
Yeah, like to where the
Okay.
pickaxe hits.
So as you throw out the pickaxe and everyone just kind of like idly catches that Thor is messing around with this new item and just kind of dismissing it, after you teleport, you feel like you are sucked into like a different place for like a brief second, like a split moment before you are, plopped back down where your pickaxe was. As you land at the location of your pickaxe and you begin kind of like recovering your senses and realizing the pickaxe is over where you were, you feel this kind of like weird sluggish pull as you like get pulled back into the world and you're a little bit disorientated. That's how you say that, by the way. Remove 1 HP from you permanently.
Alrighty.
Like max HP?
Yeah. So you would feel a bit of yourself not come through to the other side.
Just PS, I was gonna say that I would have already experimented with this, but at this point I would not have.
There you go. Now I've used this thing 12 times.
Yeah, I know.
But Valorant, after, I would say it probably took you all like 15 minutes to go around getting all the heads off. His goal was to eventually have them all strung up into the trees to make sure that less things can kind of get at them. Valorant, you would acquire maybe like 2 or 3 of these scales without breaking them. You realize that like where the root of it is connected to the being, it's a bit delicate. So having to kind of like shimmy it out, you get a little bit of a knack for it after a while. But you're able to remove 3 that are about 2 inches wide and about maybe 5-6 inches long. So.
And in my hands, do they feel like they have properties of metal or chitinous or
Just like a hard shell would kind of be the general thing, like a very thick seashell almost.
what do they look like? Do they look nice?
So the heads are slightly different hues, and also the color of the bean kind of shifts a little bit depending on where on the body it is. The ones that you've gotten, they kind of start off this kind of opaque white at the root of it, and then turn into this very, very slight pink hue near the tip. And those would be the colors that you got. But if you like wanted to work on a different section, you could potentially get a different color.
But it's probably not worth it if it took me that much time just to get 3.
Make a hella cool eye patch.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Not even happened yet.
No, I think I'll just pass those scales along to Blanc, just to see if she's able to do anything with them eventually. But
Okay.
that's probably all.
So after the last of the heads kind of pull it up into the tree and then secure it to the base, Ganon kind of look at you all, and he has just been beaming this entire time. Both of his forearms are covered in the like purpley red blood of not the basilisk, the Hydra. Thank you. And he kind of turns to you all and like holds his arms out wide. Lads, fucking spectacular. I couldn't have asked for a better team. That was incredible. Only one of you nearly died. And we achieved what I have been trying to do for so long.
Glad to be of service. Now, to the deep.
We're not going to celebrate a little bit, sharing some camaraderie.
You said it's going to take a couple of days. We can celebrate on the way.
I imagine you're not the life of the party.
Again, and you may enjoy this place, but this is a literal, and Jericho kind of kick the mud, a literal shithole.
Can't argue with that.
Thor's just like hands on knees. Just kind of looks like he might throw up. Then just
Sure.
stands up.
If it smells that bad, I can make it, smell like roses or
Nope.
something.
It's not that bad, JD. It's fine.
What's the matter with you, Thor?
Nothing. I feel fine. Just had a little, being shot through, I guess the air.
Well, yes, Gannon. It's probably best we get on our way, at least a bit along, and maybe we can bring along some of this. I don't know, are these things good to eat?
Only one way to find out.
That's the spirit. We'll have a bit of a barbecue.
We'll let Two Cows try it first. He seems like a strong individual.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely be interested to see what this tastes like.
Or we could try fishing the cow out of its teeth.
Be like one of those combined dishes. But, yes, it's best we get on our way. We don't want to make Valoran angry.
A caldra.
Jericho would assist in carving some meat out of the neck, and also put the ruby against the meat as he's carving to see if it does anything.
It would begin to cook the meat in the small
Oh.
location that you put the ruby.
Phenomenal. Okay.
You can cook like small, tiny, like
I
1 inch
basically,
wide.
like, Sear the ruby onto the thing. Okay. I don't know. It's good to know. I have an idea for that then.
Okay. So after getting some slabs of Hydra flesh and conversing a little bit, you all begin traversing the swamp yet again. So, as you all are traveling, you're kind of on the fringe of the deep right now. It almost might appear that the Hydra that you just killed came from the deep, or maybe it comes from the deep to do its hunting out in the fringe, whatever the outside part of the swamp is called. So it would only take you all maybe about till the evening to get to the edge of the deep, where you start actually seeing a difference in the atmosphere and the air or the general feel around you. So as around 2 or 3 in the afternoon begins to roll around, the sun beginning to kind of descend on the other side of the sky, as you progress forward, stepping fully into this strange place, the kind of constant sound of amphibious animals that you had been hearing die out, almost going silent. The fog that you've been traversing through, where it was kind of hard to see more than like 60 or 80 feet, it is now difficult to even see 20, 30 feet in front of you. The sky is blotted out, the location of the sun is obscured. It feels like you are being almost choked out or surrounded by the swamp itself. For each step you take forward, it kind of closing in around you a little bit more and a little bit more until sometime around 5 o'clock when you are firmly in the deep. Gannon would eventually turn around to you all and be like, "We stopping for a break, lads? Should probably rest for the night before going further. Are you enjoying the scenery so far?"
Yes, it's probably time for sleep. If we can get any here.
It's quite peaceful. You don't hear any of the racket or the hubbub of a tavern or the floating folk.
Should we establish a watch?
I don't know if you can see anything.
I think that's probably a splendid idea. I'll keep Aurora about.
Hearing is better than nothing.
I want to check this fog with the telescope, see if it's magical fog.
Doesn't come off with any sort of magical energy.
So if I send Aurora up, how high does she have to get up before she's out of the fog?
It'd probably be about 80 to 100 feet before she breaks the fog and is able to see around.
Does she just see more fog? Or...
Yeah, it would just be a thick blanket of fog beneath her, and then eventually it would start, like, fading near the edges of the swamp, and then she could see, like, mountains and dry land, like, off in the distance.
Boonk. Bring her back.
So he'd kind of position you on a raised bit of land and, you know, make sure everyone has their feet elevated and whatnot before he kind of plumps himself down in the middle. We'll try and celebrate a little bit now. Maybe cook up some of that meat, see if it's edible. Or we'll let someone eat it and wait a couple hours, and then I guess we can all partake.
Yes, let's celebrate.
Are we, like, safe here?
No, Thor, we're certainly not safe here.
So would lighting a fire in the middle of the dark be bad?
It's probably foggy enough to where it won't penetrate far, and I think anything around here probably will smell us or hear us just as well as they'll see us. I, for one, would rather be warm and dry.
Agreed.
All right.
You all seem rather unimpressed that we just took out a Hydra. It's a rather imposing creature.
It's rather mundane for our group. We've done far better.
Well, that just hurts my little heart.
No. You're just part of something bigger than yourself now. We are attempting to thwart a god. This is just an overgrown reptile.
It did nearly kill one of you.
He looks fine to me.
Yes, let's not overstate things, shall we?
Oh, it's alright. To save your energy, don't use your voice now.
But I mean,
No,
also, it only took one shot to take down, pretty much.
One perfectly placed shot. Thank you. That's an expensive bolt.
How much did it go?
Perhaps no one has told you, but that was impressive. We could not have done it without you.
Fat boy, Jarek. You're a bard, right?
Yes. Renowned throughout the Giles Kingdom.
Maybe we should workshop a ditty, a song, a little chant about Ganon and his heroics and his perfectly placed shot.
Yeah, come on, JP, you can do it.
Jarek being hesitant to share the limelight with some other adventurer, not of the Golden Hearts, hesitantly would just be like, yeah, we can take a look at that. I've got a couple of tunes in the back pocket I could slap some words on. I don't know if I should play anything right now, looking out into the ominous fog surrounding us.
There can't be anything scarier than a Hydra out here. And we've already taken out that.
Can I, like, insight check him? He seems like super okay with the fact that we're deeper into the woods and everything's just dandy now. Okay, well, never mind.
He serves something.
Noticeably more excited after defeating the Hydra. That's one thing that he's kind of going off of. But yeah, you also did have a conversation earlier that might explain some things.
Valoran's got his tinderbox out of his pack, and he's working on getting the fire going so that they can cook the Hydra meat and progress with their evening.
Oh, Valorant, I'm so sorry. Yeah, here, and he'll prestidigitate the wood on fire.
I would go over to Jarek and whisper in his ear, famine rhymes with Ganon, if it helps.
I'm sorry, did you say famine?
It's all I could think of in a pinch.
So Ganon would now remove himself from Thor, Jarek, and Decker and kind of almost single out Valorant, stepping beside him, kind of placing his hand on your shoulder, whether you're stood or sat, I guess. And he'd bring his voice down a little bit, of his, I guess, his jeer or his excitement kind of tampered for the moment. All right. I think me and you have to have a talk, because the rest of them don't seem all put together.
You say so, Mr. Toller.
2KO's kind of let it slip that we're dealing with a god and some Tordan figure or whatever the sort. Again, I don't particularly care about it. But I do have some vested interest in the swamp and its safety and everything in that regard. I just want to make sure that if you run into anything, experience anything, face anything, that we're not going to be tearing down the place that I call home.
Are you referring to where we're headed now?
No, I'm referring to where we've been. Yes, I'm referring to where we're heading now.
Our aim here is not to cause any unnecessary destruction.
Well, I'll choose to believe you there. I have not done a whole lot of soul searching about what is, I guess, influencing me, speaking to me. But I have my suspicions that maybe the big dragon head isn't a statue, maybe it's alive, who knows, 2KOs might be onto something. And if Ziggurath is the one telling me what to do, wouldn't want to make him angry.
I can assure you that the Golden Hearts are open to all manner of outcomes. We're here to secure the means to oppose Tordan. Nothing further.
Alright. Well, don't burn the Hydra meat and we'll tread carefully.
Agreed.
And then he would kind of let the evening progress as it would, letting you all cook the Hydra meat and taste it. Would you all partake? Let someone test it? What's the plan?
I'll taste test it.
Just real quick, Valorant, you've got some spells up your sleeve. I've seen you do some things. Do you have anything to maybe help make sure that this doesn't kill us?
I'm sure it's fine, and I'll just, like, take a bite.
Valoran also's like he kind of shrugs at Jarek and gestures at Thor, and then he also takes a big chunk.
I'm gonna look at Jarek, and I'm just gonna look at them eating first.
Both of you give me a perception check. Nice.
All right, yeah.
All right. Thor, throw it down the gullet. You know, you drank rock water. What is a little Hydra steak? Maybe it's a bit tough, but Valorant, as you take a nice bite, you know, very delicately chew it, let it slide down your gullet. It takes a moment, but as you feel it kind of settling in and then being worked at by your stomach, you get this kind of strange sensation, feeling, and it begins to kind of grow as you're letting it settle. It only takes maybe 10-15 seconds before your vision begins to kind of like split, where you're like, there is a Thor, but now there's like kind of half of a Thor standing next to him. And it's nothing severe, it's a very slight, almost like hazy feeling, but as you look around, there's just two of everybody.
Just to double check, does my disease immunity play into this at all?
It's not really
that
a
I know of.
disease.
I would just look up a Valorant. Pretty good, right?
So Valoran turns back to Jarek and he shakes his head and he says, no, don't eat it.
What's wrong?
He actually, so Valoran gets up and he moves to the edge of their dry land that they are on and actually crams a finger down like into his mouth to induce vomiting.
Okay. So as Valoran vomits and Thor takes another bite, Ganon, who is like lifting a bite up, just goes, sets it down. Alright, no Hydra meat then.
Well, it was a good idea. Maybe not, really.
What is wrong with everybody?
Thor, give me a perception check with advantage. Jesus Christ. As you take a second bite, maybe it's just the amount of flesh that you hold. It takes longer to kick in. As you're kind of sat there looking around, chewing another piece down, you would see Jarek grow like a little bit wider. His face would kind of get a little fuzzy and blurry. But yeah.
Whoa.
Thor, stop eating that.
What do you mean? This is kind of weird, but kind of cool.
Ballard's gonna come back and start like scooping up, like trying to gather up the Hydra
The rest
meat.
of it, yeah.
Can I try to take a little bit?
If you want. It's up to you, sir.
Yeah,
You're trying to
gonna
slide
try
a hand some Hydra meat.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Ballard's not gonna stop you. The door's
Oh, okay.
Door's ass. But he wants to gather up whatever he is allowed to gather up and bring it, like give it to Blanc, and describe the effect to her and give the meat to her.
You would notice as you're handing it to her and you begin describing it, she like instinctively goes to her pouch to grab a notebook, and you see her pull it out, and the paper just kind of like falls away from it because it's so like moist. It's been like saturated and dried and saturated and dried. And she just like looks at the empty pad and just, I'll remember.
All right, I'd like to eat 2 more pieces.
Jesus Christ.
We'll make sure to get you a new one when we get back out of the swamp.
I'd appreciate that. Thor, give me another perception with advantage. But as far as the evening is concerned, Ganon would, make sure everyone's feet is elevated, let everyone kind of fall asleep, and then tomorrow would be the last day of travel, correct? Alright. Thor, you still don't understand.
I really don't see what anybody's talking about. Guys,
Sure.
this is great.
Thor, you're... It's gonna grow into something inside you.
What?
If you sprout another head, I'll help you remove it.
What if that kills me?
Remember which one you started with first.
Okay. Wait, am I splitting?
What were you saying, Jared?
Oh.
No, Derek would actually ask a Decker and go up to him. Decker, hey, your bird can. It's pretty good at catching things, right? I mean, it's an owl.
I mean, mice, rabbits, other birds.
You think you could snag something crawling around here?
Mice, rabbits, other birds. I mean, maybe. What do you want it to get?
Yeah, well, I found this thing, and I'll pull out the ruby, and it seems to burn meat. But I'm curious what happens if something eats it.
Oh my god.
You're so sadistic. Holy fuck.
And I need to learn what this does, and experimentation, due to the lack of a wizard, is my only option. So, yeah, if I figured if there's any kind of creepy crawly things poking around in the mud.
So
Wait,
you want, just so I get this straight, you want Aurora to find you something that you can forcibly feed a ruby to.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfectly normal.
wait.
I mean,
you found the ruby?
Oh yeah. Back in town.
Wait, let me see it.
Sure, I'll give it a go, and I'll have Aurora circle under the fog to see if she can find any sort of...
It would be incredibly difficult due to the fog, but go ahead, give me perception with disadvantage.
Is it hot in my hand?
No.
Okay. What is the problem with this thing, JD?
Well, I licked it. It hurts. I stuck it in the Hydra. It burned a small hole on the meat. Just.
I press it to my skin.
Aurora would not be able to spot anything right size to swallow a ruby.
Hold on,
Joe,
let me see some.
Quite
we have
so.
ale or something.
Sorry, what? What, Decker?
Ale. Alright, I'll go find some ale. So I assume we brought alcohol, right?
Did you?
I didn't bring any.
Yeah.
I thought we said we were bringing some because we didn't want to drink the water. Wasn't that the plan? Did I miss something?
That was a few days ago when we remembered things like that.
Okay, do we have water in general?
Yeah, we have water skins, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
I hope.
I'm gonna stick it in my water,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna feel it.
Nothing. At this point, Ganon's like looking at you all, and then looks over at Valorant like, good group you got here.
They've earned this time after our fight today.
So while they're
What's the ratio to
different-
goofing off and being productive? 70-20?
It depends on when you start counting.
Wait, this is productive. We're figuring out what this thing is.
All right.
keep being productive, gentlemen, and I'll separate myself off from the side of the group, out of earshot, but still within. And I'd like to say a prayer to Arovica.
Okay. Give me your wisdom check, sir.
Yeah.
Bunch of Aerobica simps over here.
The Aerobica boys. Yurik has to get on board at some point.
You said a wisdom check?
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's you're not doing it right or you can't see the stars this time, No
wasn't-
effect.
And I wasn't expecting to get a response. It was just, after what happened the previous night, I just
Mhm.
figured I should probably start talking to her.
Got you.
P.S. Buffy didn't follow us into the
He
swamp,
did
right?
not. No.
Oh, okay. That's what I was hoping.
Buffy would have drowned.
No. Buffy can swim.
James, what do you have to say?
I'll take the last watch whenever you're ready. And then he settles, finds somewhere to settle down for the night.
Okay. So I will go ahead and save us all the trouble of figuring out watches, and just everyone give me a flat perception check. Thor, your perception checks suck ass today, dude.
See, I don't think I've rolled above 13. Nope, a 12. Yep.
So the night goes by rather uneventfully. Any of you that end up being on watch for a significant amount of time, kind of keeping an eye and an ear out, you would just get the general feedback of the kind of encroaching, almost suffocating feel of the deep of the swamp. You're also where you'd been treading through, maybe 5-foot max water on the fringe of the swamp. The water here can go up to about 8 or 10 feet in places. So as you guys were traversing earlier, and when you'll be traversing the next day, you almost have to kind of like slink around deeper parts of the water instead of taking the almost like straight line approach that Ganon was using earlier. But the night goes by fairly uneventful. Ganon again waking up at like the crack of dawn with this unexplained sense of time, and again he would start making noise, prepping things, kind of shaking people loose. And all right, boys, gonna go to the deep, or I guess the deep, see the big dragon head.
Whenever Valoran's watch took place, just in the still of this murky, miserable place, he sort of looks around and sighs through his nose. Still better than parts of Giles. That's all.
All right. Ganon would rouse you all up and then begin adventuring, or I guess traversing yet again. So, another day begins. The very blurry and distant shaped sun that it's kind of hard to discern exactly where it is in the sky begins slowly ascending as dawn turns to noon and noon turns to afternoon. At this point, you are now, I guess we can move back to the world map. I forgot we were still on the battle map. You guys, it's hard for you to tell exactly, but you're probably roughly about there. You are almost like dead center in the middle of this swamp. You are very far away from dry land or civilization or anything of that sort. As the evening is beginning to kind of hint towards approaching, it's now 4 or 5 in the afternoon maybe. Ganon kind of like trudges a little bit. The fog at this point is so thick that he has everyone kind of like tagging each other every so often. Like every, 10, 15 feet or so, we just kind of turn around and kind of touch someone's hand, make sure they're still there, keep going. As you begin to almost rise in elevation, you step out of water and onto like squishy, spongy land, and then a little bit of dry land, and then you actually, it's hard to, keep your perception or your senses alert due to how limited your, I guess, reach is. But you are able to discern that you are going up like an incline, and the like deep moss that you're used to turns to grass, which you guys haven't seen in almost a week now. You keep going up, kind of trudging up, and then the fog begins to disperse just ever so slightly, making it just a little bit more clear as you can make out your companions in front of you. Finally, after about maybe 2 or 3 minutes of walking up a rather steep incline, it is almost like you walk into a giant glass dome that has pushed the fog out, where it's crystal clear in this small pocket in the middle of the swamp. And as you step into this strange, fog-free area that probably stretches maybe about a mile across, would be the rough distance you would guess at. You all find yourself at the top of a kind of small ridge. Not quite a hill, not quite a mountain, just kind of this weird, lumpy landmass you're kind of standing on. You look down into almost this kind of basin area, where right in the center is this enormous dragon head. We are talking probably as big as Kraylin Castle. This thing is absolutely massive. There's these two giant twisting horns sticking out of either side that almost like twirl around in multiple layers and then jut straight up into the sky. There's this large, probably 30, 40 feet wide willow tree sat atop the, I guess, the crest of the head. Its roots kind of like swirling around the eye sockets and up into the nose and down into the mouth. It is ascending up into the top of this dome. It almost appears that the center of this dome kind of comes off of the top of the willow tree and then lands down away from the skull, or I guess the stone dragon head thing. The mouth of the temple statue, whatever you want to call it, is open wide, and there's a small trail of deeply lime green liquid kind of trailing out of it like a small stream that kind of just like drapes through some of the teeth and then down into the marshy land beneath it, mixing into the water. But that is the general, I guess, scene that you would see. And then I guess that's where we're going to end the session.